Wow, this is probably one of the best questions I think I've had asked in the Straight Up Fishing app in quite some time. So every YouTube video that you watch right now about fall fishing, and I know that y'all are watching them, everything that you hear is going to say food. You got to find forage. I don't care where you fish, ponds, lakes, rivers, tidal, Great Lakes. It doesn't matter. Fall time fishing is about one thing. It's about food. Now, this gentleman in the app, he had probably one of the most simple yet most profound questions I think I've had asked all year long. He said, how do you find bait on any given body of water? Period. I sat there and I scratched my head. I was like, that's a great question. The obvious answers are, well, sometimes you see the bait activity. You've all seen that in the fall time when you go out in the evening and you see bait there. But what if I go out in the morning or in the middle of the day? How do I know, number one, what the fish are feeding on? How do I know what they're feeding on? And then secondly, how do I find the food? Since we're all saying that fall fishing is about food, how do you find that food? Well, there's a little sneaky little deal that pros have been using for a long time. I've used it myself to help me find fish in the fall time, but yet we don't really talk about it. And it does involve technology. But the cool thing about this technology, this is age-old technology. So for you getting ready to get in your keyboard and start typing things about fish finders are cheating and four faces, so before you get ready to get on all of that bandwagon, we're talking about old school technology. Pros today are still using old school technology to short circuit the system, to close the gap. When you're fishing as a pro, when you're fishing new bodies of water, or when you're just on a time restriction, which all of us are on time restriction, you got a soccer game this weekend, you got a football, you got kids, you got to go to church on Sunday. All of us are limited on time. I don't care if you're a pro or if you're an amateur. So what we have to do is to bring that time from this much time to this much time when it comes to finding whatever we're looking for, whether that's bait or whether that's the fish. So we use our electronics to do that. Here's the thing. If you have any of these at all, I don't care if it's from the 1970s, I guarantee you have a fish finder with 2D sonar. On the Straight Up Fishing app, I had one of the best fishermen of all time. If you guys have ever watched Linder's Angling Edge, I grew up watching that TV show. Those TV shows, by the way, are the real TV shows. James Linder has been filming fishing shows for over 40 years, and he knows a thing or two about fishing in the Northeast and those glacial bodies of water that they have there.
Target or focus in those areas because of food, oxygen, and current. That's the real key, because they're not anywhere. You just don't dump in the river generally, and they're everywhere. That's not the case. These fish are making very, very distinct movements where you get into areas, and then you'll find big, vast groups of fish in a really confined area. Then you'll have vast areas where there are no fish.
There's nobody that I know that knows more about fall fishing on glacial lakes than James Linder. James Linder came on the show and talked about how he uses 2D sonar to find bait fish in the fall time. It's a way to get your time, like to go from here to here, just using his electronics. Everybody has this technology. If you have a boat, you've got this technology, and this is a way that you can use it. Listen to what James has to say about how he finds fish in the fall time of the year, or how he finds bait this time of the year using his electronics. 2D sonar, by the way. Watch this.
I think a lot of it dictates on where the fish are at, and not only that, in some cases you can see it on your depth finder, 2D sonar. I know everybody talks about forward-facing sonar, and it's fabulous technology to find fish and cast to them and see, and I've learned tremendous amount from it. But one thing that to utilize your electronics to its full potential is to literally, so many different people like to pull out, well, I always catch them here on June on this point. Fish don't know anything about that June point. The only thing they know about one thing, food. If they know about the food, so what you want to do is you drive around and use your 2D sonar or side imaging to drive around and let you're better off to spend an hour to an hour and a half using your electronics. And we do this a lot because we go fish a lot of new waters that have never been on before. And we have to break it down just like when you guys are tournament fishing in a expedient period of time. So what you're going to do is run a bunch of water, not one spot, not two spots, 5 spots, 6 spots. And all of a sudden, that'll really help you give you a far better picture of what's going on in the system at this period of time. And it could be all of a sudden we had a back-to-back cold fronts. All of a sudden we had really warm snap, and all of a sudden the bug hatches are going off, and those fish are starting to drift off structures or holding out into deeper water. All of a sudden the fish are shallower because of adversely super warm conditions, and the fish are feeding on crayfish up in the weeds or up on the tops of the rock piles. But one thing I'd say is to utilize your electronics, specifically 2D sonar and side imaging, to go figure out where the fish are now. You know, and that means using it not one spot but 4 or 5 different spots, and that'll give you a lot for me anyway. For me to go find fish.
Hey, are you fishing tournaments yet? You should be. Did you know I host a free tournament every month? No entry fee at all. Give over $1,500 in gear away at every single tournament. Listen, I know all of the people that fish these tournaments, and I'm 1,000% certain that you catch bigger fish than anybody in the tournament. So if you registered, I'm pretty sure you would win. All the information you need to know how to register, how to participate in this tournament is in the link in the description box and the comment section of this video. Go check it out. Go get that money. You know you need some new fishing gear. 100% certain you are better than the rest of these guys.
That's one thing I do try to do more of this time of the year. I know doing TV shows actually helps you with that, because every day that you don't find fish is another couple $1,000s that you're paying camera guys.
Yeah.
It'll make it really
It-
good to find fish. Yeah, so I remember last year
yeah.
I filmed with a couple guys in the app, Chris and Destiny. I fished with Tim, a couple other people, and I did exactly that for practice for those shoots. I just idled until I found bait and brush, or sometimes it wasn't. I was idling using my electronics, but even though I was looking for birds, bird activity, schooling activity, like I mentioned, it could be striper schooling where I live. That's a good indication that there's bait in that area. There's bait in that area. It's probably a good chance there's going to be spotted bass somewhere. But that is definitely, I'm glad you said that, because it takes a lot of discipline to sit in that seat at times and just idle and look for fish or bait, or structure, the right kind of structure, right grass, or the right, the right rock. And I think what you said, 2D sonar is becoming underutilized, because oftentimes, like I can run almost on plane and mark creeks that have bait with 2D sonar. Pretty much on
You
plane,
got it.
20 miles, 15 mile an hour, 20 miles an hour.
I can run my boat. I'm running. Just came back. I was up in Canada doing a lot of filming lately, and I'm running down the lake. Mine works when I'm running 50. I can actually see,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
then
yeah.
again, I'm targeting. Yeah, I was targeting for this particular case. I was looking for like larger lake trout, walleyes, and big pike. So these are 15 to 25 pound fish, and you can utilize that to move around pretty fast. Not 50 miles an hour, but I can run because a lot of it's unmapped. I don't have really good maps on this water, so I got to be able to comb water really relatively quickly. But at least 15, 10, 15, 20, up on plane and moving pretty quickly can tell you a lot. It really does. And the fish change. What I was saying, the fish shift in and out on bars, and that's where if you go to a spot and it one spot, and then you go to another spot, and you go to another spot, and if you can see that there's a lot of fish pulled off in that 10, 15, or 15 to 25 foot of water, that's going to give you a lot more uh, better where I should be positioning, not only what I'm positioning or where the boat should be positioned, what I'm going to target depth, but not only that, which baits are going to be more applicable for that situation if they're out in deeper water. Are they suspended up higher in the water column? Are they down pinned on the bottom? You know what I mean? All of a sudden, I'm going to use drop shots or roller jigs if the fish are tight on the bottom. If the fish are suspended up, and then I'm breaking out the swimming minnows, or what I mean, swim baits where you're swimming it high over the tops of those fish. you know.
James Linder by far is probably one of the most knowledgeable, most experienced anglers that I've ever had do a class with inside of the app. So thankful to have him join us. If you got anything from that tip from James, I'd love to have you inside the Straight Up Fishing app. We have guests in there. I do a lot of teaching. There's a lot of anglers inside of the app that you can learn a lot from. Join the Straight Up Fishing app today, and I promise you it'll help you catch more fish.